You came out yesterday and tried to tamp that down and say, wait a minute, we're not going to shut down the place just yet. So what is your threshold where you say, this is bad enough, or I see something on the horizon that's coming where everybody's just got to stay inside until further notice?
Yeah, Willie, 2 points. First, I make decisions based on the science, based on the data, based on the numbers. When the numbers go up, that spread is increasing, then we ratchet up the density controls, right? Because that's what we're really trying to do, reduce the density. We did it yesterday, we did it the day before, and we'll do it again today. But I think there's a bigger point. We're battling the virus. We're also battling the fear and the panic, and the fear and the panic, I think, can be worse than the virus. I cut my teeth on disasters down in Florida, Homestead, Florida, with Hurricane Andrew when I was HUD Assistant Secretary. I've seen panic. I've seen fear. And I am telling you, that is more frightening than the virus. And communication is very important. We've had mixed messages from the federal government. I'm glad the president is now fully engaged. But this chaos is feeding a panic. And when you get to a dense place like New York City, you panic people, you're going to have a real problem that you can't manage. And I'm telling you, the fear is spreading faster than the virus is spreading. And the fear is harder for us to deal with. So do I talk about density control? Yes. Closing down businesses? Yes. I'm not talking about imprisonment of people in their homes. I'm not talking about quarantine and roadblocks where you're locked into a geographic area. That will explode panic in New York City.
So we're
Isang lalaki naman ang tumanggi sa checkpoint dito sa Valenzuela ang inaresto ng mga otoridad dahil nanuntok ng mga pulis. Ayon kay Colonel Fernando Ortega, ang Chief of Police ng Valenzuela City, nakabisikleta ang lalaki nang dumaan sa PNP checkpoint sa MacArthur Highway. Subalit tumanggi raw itong huminto para kuhanan ng body temperature. Wala rin daw itong maipakitang ID ng siyasatin ng mga otoridad. Dito na nagwala ang lalaki at nanapak umano ng pulis kaya inaresto. Para naman hindi magkagulo sa pila, naglagay ng orange barrier ang mga otoridad kung saan iba ang nilulusutan ng jeep, mga nakamotor at mga naglalakad lamang. Upang masiguro naman ang mga nagmamando dito sa checkpoint ng kanilang kaligtasan, nakamask at merong plastic cover ang mga mukha ng mga ito. Hindi minsan masunod ang social distancing sa mga sasakyan pero depensa rito ng ilang drivers.
Mga pasero talagang nagmamadali, nakatira nila eh.
So wala ka na rin nagagawa?
Opo eh.
Oras na ito, Alex, makikita mo dito sa aking likuran lang, nararanasan na nga itong napakabigat na daloy ng trapiko dahil nga bumuhos na itong mga motorista. Yan yung ilan sa mga pumasok kaninang umaga at nagbabalik na rin sa kanilang mga tahanan. Magkabilang lanes, Alex, ay punong-puno ng mga sasakyan kasi oras na nga ng balikan mula sa kanilang trabaho.
Looking as you're speaking, Governor, at a live picture of Times Square. It's just after 8 o'clock in the morning. It's rush hour, just a handful of cabs, no people out on a rainy day passing through there. I think most people are quarantining themselves effectively anyway, staying inside. So I understand and I take your point about fear and panic. But at what point do the health risks exceed your concerns about fear and panic? In other words, the idea that if anybody's out and about, this thing only gets worse from a medical point of view.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the facts, Willie. We are ratcheting up the density control, let's call it. Yesterday I said no more than 50% of the employees of any business can go to work. 50% must work at home. And I've asked all businesses to keep their workers at home, and that's why you see the low level. But it's not that people can't go out of their homes, right? It's you can't be in a dense environment. Social distancing works and makes sense, and we have to do it. But it's not that you have to be locked down. You know, some of these terms are so confusing. Shelter in place literally meant in an active shooter situation or a nuclear disaster, find the interior room with no windows and stay there until you get the all clear message. You know, you're scaring the heck out of me, right? So yes, density reduction, yes, stay inside, yes, social distancing, but communicate in a way that is comforting to people who are already confused and panicked. We need the federal government to step up. We want to encourage that. We want to invite that. I said to the president, we need you. We need the federal government. I don't have the resources to do this. I can't build more hospital beds in 45 days. Only the federal government can do that. Only the Army Corps of Engineers can do that. I can't order manufacturers to build gloves and PPE and ventilators. Only the federal government can do that. So we want them mobilized because we can't fight this war without the federal government. And I said to the president, you step up. You help my state, you help my people, you help this country, and I will put my hand out in partnership 100%. Because politics be darned right now, right? This is a war, and depending on how we handle it will be how many people die.
And that's it. In terms of our readiness, Governor Cuomo, I know there's 2 military ships coming to the New York area, but it's going to be weeks. And I believe that's for people it's 1 ship to the New York area who don't have coronavirus being transported to the ship. But this is weeks away, if that. How are New York State hospitals right now? Are they ready? Could you use separate military or separate hospitals to deal with coronavirus cases? And if so, why is that not happening?
Hindi natin masabi yon with certainty. Kasi nga, alam lang natin kung ano yung mga numbers, pero yung exponential growth natin na nakikita ay mabilis na. Okay? So, yan ang mukhang pupuntahan yan at hindi magtatagal. It's going to be very quick. As of now, mahihirapan tayo dahil maghahanap pa tayo, magtatayo pa tayo ng ospital. Tinitingnan niya, pinag-aaralan kung yung lung center, halimbawa, ay gawin designated COVID-19 infection hospital. Pero ang problema, meron tayong mga pasyente na ando doon at may mga cancer, may TB. So, hindi naman natin basta-basta rin sila pwedeng ilipat lang. Hindi yan para ka lang nagtabi ng mga upuan and give way o appliances. So, kailangan ng mas malaliman pagsusuri ng suhestyon o mungkahing ito.
Yeah, a good question, Mika. Let's say we need 30,000 more ICU beds in New York. Intensive care beds, because the intensive care beds have the ventilators. The people who are coming into the hospitals need the ventilators. It's a respiratory illness. I am trying to get more capacity within the existing hospitals. I regulate them. I can do that. We need to build more hospital beds. That's the Army Corps of Engineers. They were here last night. I met with them. We're planning that. And we need the equipment. A bed without a ventilator does nothing for me. And that's where the federal government has to use its full muscle. That's the Federal Defense Procurement Act. That is the way we made missiles in World War II. You have to make ventilators now. General Electric makes them, Philips makes them, and that's what the federal government really has to help. Find the beds, but even more, find the equipment.
Governor Cuomo, Jonathan Lemire, 2 questions for you. We know about the drive-in testing site in New Rochelle. Obviously, in New York City, a lot of residents don't have cars. Are there going to be an equivalent here, perhaps a walk-in sites that can be open? And secondly, Mayor de Blasio has called for the military itself, beyond the National Guard, which was here in Manhattan yesterday unloading supplies, the military itself to be here in the city streets to help with the response. Do you want that as well?
Well, I'm using the National Guard all across the state, right? And they've been very helpful. And they're always helpful in disasters, by the way. Calling out the National Guard shouldn't send up a panic flare. I use them for snowstorms, floods, everything. They are the state workforce. Military help, yes. Army Corps of Engineers help us build hospital beds as quickly as possible. DOD assets, equipment, logistics, yes. Military personnel, if you're implying on the streets, no.
Karine Jean-Pierre has a question. Karine?
Hey, Governor. Yesterday, you signed a bill that guarantees New Yorkers get paid sick leave. Can you talk more about that?
Look, this this crisis works on so many levels, and one of them is just economics long term, which is going to be a whole situation in and of itself, but short term. And paid sick leave, which I supported before this anyway, is now so abundantly obvious that we have to pass it. We should pass it nationwide. We passed it in this state. And I've quarantined about 10,000 people. Paying the people who we have quarantined, both mandatory and voluntary, we think is essential just to stabilize the economy now. And paid sick leave and quarantine pay go a long way. I hope the federal government passes the current bill, which would actually give Americans some money in their pocket to buy food, just to stabilize the short-term situation.
What the local government did is to talk to its running groceries. We have around 46 groceries and mini-marts. And we told them we're going to issue out food claim stubs, food vouchers. So this will be given to the 75,000 families door to door. That should be easier because we're just giving out the vouchers. And it's up to the families to go to those groceries and pick up the sustenance that they need.